I'm muted. All right. Shoop-a-doo. Let everybody get in, and then we'll get started. All right. Feeling a little under the weather today. I went to a doctor. They swabbed my nose, and they could just test for 30 viruses in 30 minutes. So they immediately were able to tell me I have a common cold. So that is me right now. I have a common cold. I feel a little stuffy, invisibly stuffy. I mean, I can probably go for a tiny bit of time, but I won't push myself too hard because I want to get better. Yeah. Cool. I think we're about leveled off. Yep. 1 second. Let me grab my box of tissue. All right. Tissues acquired. Okay. Hello, everybody. This is the weekly office hours. Do these every week. We basically talk about what we're working on, what we're thinking about, and take some questions. It's gonna be short today because I have a cold, but we'll try to make up for it in the future. So what's going on? We're working on web and mobile platforms. The new web platform will launch in 2 phases. The first one has similar functionality to the current website, but is much faster, has a better design, and think better things like search and moving through your images. And then there'll be a phase 2, which has image creation in it and some social features. Exactly which social features is yet to be determined. They're kind of being figured out. Yeah. The goal of phase 1 is that it's a totally different code base, so we have to test it. And testing that will help us make sure that the bigger one, which is phase 2, will go on without a hitch. So that's that. And then we're working on some updates to the V5. Probably that include the first things that it's probably going to be personalization and some higher resolution stuff. So the personalization will help you make what you want to make without having to use as many settings or get the words right. It'll kind of affect the biases that the system naturally has and hopefully bias them towards what you like. And then we have something that we're training that's going to be higher resolution for V5, and if it works, we'll have an upscaler. We can't say for sure if it'll work, but the team is optimistic. We'll have some stuff to test on Monday internally. So that would double the resolution, which would be really nice. And so higher resolution and better personalization, I think, would be a pretty solid. We have some general aesthetic improvements coming. I think the team is kind of debating about them right now. We take the aesthetics pretty seriously, which is why our stuff looks good. So the team is debating exactly which version we should release. But, we have stuff that's more coherent, follows the prompt a little better. So that'll be like a boost across the board. So we're thinking we may wrap up to all 3 of those things together and release them relatively soon. I can't say exactly when. The team is doing an offsite get together next week, so that will slow us down, but also we're pretty close in some of these things. So hard to say. I would say in the relatively short-term future, we're looking at those 3 things. There is a much bigger V6 release coming too. I think the V6 release will be a bigger jump than V4 to V5. It'll be a pretty big jump. Better image quality, better text understanding, being able to render things like text. Yeah, kind of all the features you're seeing. The field progressing, and then more because like we have all of our cool stuff and our stuff always looks really good. So working on that. I don't know exactly when it comes out. I think we're kind of deciding ourselves when it should come out. So, we have different features we can put into V6. Like V6 isn't really fixed, right? So it's sort of like we have this many features we could try to cram in, and the more features you try to cram in, the longer it will take to get out. And the fewer features you try to cram in, the sort of less better it is. So, I can't say there's a right answer for that. I can say that the team is debating probably today and tomorrow a bit about that again. Just because I think a lot of people are going to be making product announcements in this space over the next month. And so, I think when we hear that, we always wonder like, well, should this affect getting in that one feature or getting in this thing out 1 week earlier? And I can't really say we know what's right, but I can say we'll be thinking about it. But then that we're very optimistic about the quality improvements and the feature improvements of the next version. There isn't anything that we can't really do. So it feels like, so we feel really optimistic about that. Yeah. Anything else? Mobile is probably further out. Web is probably sooner. Personalization, high resolution, more coherence, better text prompting soon. V6, which is big, is over the horizon. Lots of people working on it. We will have some like new describe like stuff too at some point, but we'll see. We're not sure exactly when that'll ship, but we definitely will have something that's like a better describe, which I think will be really cool when it works. Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, there is a new, we have some people working on a new style, like an improved default aesthetic with Niji, I believe. So at some point, Niji should have a boost. We've been collecting a lot of data, I think, on the Niji side, and we're optimistic about being able to bump it a little bit. There are a lot of like control net like things that we've been playing with, but I think it's kind of hard to say when to release or invest in those things versus the bigger like V6 and like personalization type stuff. So we're pretty conflicted on when to sort of push on the controllability knobs versus when to just make things like 10x better. So I think right now we're leaning towards trying to make things way better than we are trying to add in a ton of controllability things, but there might be some simple controllability things we can add. Like I've been really wanting to do a color palette thing because it would only take a few days. We had a really simple color palette thing that just did like a primary color. We were gonna release the primary color thing, but we could think about it still. Yeah, like a primary color with a hex code. Yeah, so it's an interesting question of like whether we should do like a primary color or wait till we have sort of multiple colors. We probably could do that. We probably could do some kind of, yeah, I don't know. But that's something that we've been thinking about for a while. Yeah, I really would like the color stuff. Yeah, V6 is definitely coming out this year. It's much sooner than that, I think. We've been having some really good results on the 3D side, so we're also very optimistic about 3D. I think it's hard because there's sort of multiple types of 3D. There's like environments and there's objects, and there's things like avatars. And so we're like somewhat data bottlenecked right now, but we have some plans to collect data. And I'm very optimistic about it when it comes out. Anything else? I think we improved the AI prompt moderator. So keep reporting things if they look bad, and then the new AI prompt moderator can more easily be updated. So we're going to keep updating it. I think we're going to have some more data center stuff coming online soon. So that might continue to expand faster image generation for everybody. Probably in the next month or two, a lot of the standard members will start to see their image generation just speeding up. And as the image generation speeds up, you'll also be using fewer fast hours. So that means you'll be doubly getting more images. So I think the standard subscriptions will be, it's going to kind of, the way it works is that we don't have enough of the fast servers to handle all the image generation yet. So it'll just like randomly pick you and sometimes randomly give you the faster image and the better value. And then as we have more and more, the randomness will increase until eventually it gets all the time. So yeah, one of the reasons why we're making these new servers is not just to give people faster images, but also because some of the future models may be slower. And so if the new models in the future are slower so that they can do new features or better quality, it'll cancel out with faster GPUs and then be the same speed as the current system. So in general, we're not trying to make our stuff way faster. We're trying to just have the best server infrastructure we can. And in general, we see the higher quality images will be slower. So basically, we hope that the higher quality V6 and V7 are basically somewhat similar in speed to V5, but they may actually be using a lot more compute because they're happening on these faster servers. But in the sort of meantime, as the faster servers come online and you're still on V5, you'll basically get double speed and more images, which I think is good and hope everybody appreciates. It kind of goes down from the top tiers to the bottom tier. So because there's fewest people on the mega tier, they get it first, then it goes to the pro tier, then it goes to the standard tier, then it goes to the basic tier. Yeah, I think that's it. Feels like I'm always missing things. But there are yeah. Anyway, we can do a lightning round. I'm not sure if I'll do a lot of voice things today. It's really nice to hear people's voices though, so I'll see how I feel. So for a lightning round, just type your questions in the VC text. So yeah, I'm excited to see new companies come out with things. Like I think OpenAI is going to be launching a lot of things. They're doing a developer conference in a week or two. OpenAI doesn't announce things publicly about what they're working on, but it's inside of Silicon Valley. Pretty much everybody knows what they're doing for the next year because it's like not very secretive. So we're never really surprised by anything that they do, but it's good to see them working on things. I'm excited to see like if this wasn't like a public thing, I would just like tell everybody all the roadmaps of the AI labs, but because like we know them, but it'll be fun to see all the AI labs coming out with cool stuff over the next few months. I'm pretty confident in our ability to always have the highest quality. Like we care a lot about quality in a way that others don't, but it will be very common for other people to come out with a feature that we don't have because yeah, we frankly can't do all possible features. and we're not really interested in doing all possible features. But, our quality should always be really great. And there won't be any 3D in V6. 3D is probably like between somewhere around V7 or V8. Yeah, I would say 3D should come in the next 6 months. And I say that with like slightly more confidence than last time because we have 3D things that we can test every day right now. So I'm using the 3D like on the bot right now and playing with it. So that means that we're like much further along than before, which was that like we knew that we could do it, but we didn't actually have it like inside things. I am pretty confident that we'll have 3D model generation. I don't know if the mesh quality will be that high, but it definitely looks good when you take a photo of it. We're not going to show early pictures or 3D stuff. But yeah, sorry. I was trying Starfield. It's okay. It felt a little empty and slow. I Diablo and Baldur's Gate 3 feel a little bit more fun, but we'll see. I don't really like turn-based in Baldur's Gate as much. I like real-time more, but Baldur's Gate's like obviously has like good dialogue and good production value, which feels rare. I'm still sort of surprised every time I see a video game by how much worse the graphics look than Midjourney images. It definitely makes me think about how when Midjourney does 3D stuff, how it might really sort of improve how things look everywhere. So that's kind of interesting. We don't know yet how fast the 3D will be. We have a version of 3D that's like 20 seconds right now. But I don't think we're going to keep it 20 seconds. I think that in general, people want higher quality. It's possible that like when people iterate, it seems like 1 minute is fine. So for 3D, I think you're going to iterate in 2D first. So the actual 3D export probably could take longer. And so we'll probably try to focus on making the 3D really high quality, even if it takes long to render. Yeah, we've been working on some video stuff, but the video is going to take a while. Like, I think the video will take at least as long as 3D, maybe longer. My favorite games growing up were Homeworld and Tribes 2, Unreal Tournament, Counter-Strike, Free Space 2, Imperium Galactica 2, Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, StarCraft. Right now, we're hiring senior people in pretty much any area of programming. However, the areas that we probably need most right now, we probably need to hire somebody to help us with big data sets because we just have a lot of data and it's like a lot to go through to kind of make sure everything is good. And then, we're also could probably use somebody we're looking for senior researchers as always. We could probably use a few more front-end people, not necessarily for the main website, but for a lot of other web things we're trying to build that are tertiary. For example, like we're going to do this personality test type stuff soon for the personalization, and we like kind of don't have anyone to work on it. And that sucks. So right now we only have a big enough team to kind of work on one thing. And so we're trying to hire more front end full stack people so we can work on more than one thing. We also definitely need some more designers because particularly on mobile, we're limited by the design, the number of design people we have. There's just like a lot of design to do and building out the native Midjourney experiences. And, where a lot of other people are kind of building zero design front ends for AI, we are going to try to make a really incredibly designed front end experience. And so it takes a surprising amount of blood, sweat, and tears from a pure design standpoint to build a user interface around this stuff. So we'll definitely Yeah, we could definitely hire some more senior designers too. I'd say designers that actually get their hands dirty more than like designers that want to tell other designers what to do. Anyway, David at Midjourney was it recruiting at midjourney.com? Yeah.
Careers at Midjourney.com.
Here's at midjourney.com. Thank you. Yeah, when we do meshes, we'll let people download them somehow. I think we're still debating exactly how that'll work, but in general, the mesh output is not as important as just being able to move the camera around the scene in 3D. Yes, video will be possible at some point in the future, but it is going to take a little longer. Okay, people are starting to ask the same questions over and over again. Yeah, V6 will draw text. We already draw text in our tests. I'm like mixed about drawing text. I think that it's like sometimes people use it as like a novelty or to try to do ugly things, but then there's obviously going to be, we're going to try to make sure that when we draw text, there's like something that we can try to make it like beautiful. But we haven't really seen really beautiful text stuff yet. Like I've seen our early stuff just draws text, but I haven't seen the beautiful text yet. But yeah, drawing text is actually pretty easy. It just wasn't really important before. I like Mew or Mewtwo as a Pokemon. We have ControlNet-like features. It's just that they're a lot of work to get out, and we're not really sure if it's worth it versus making the better like V6 systems and other things like that. Like we can only do so many things. So having controllability and improving quality are kind of at odds together with our current resources. And so we kind of, but it's the thing that we constantly struggle with. I think we have some of our algorithms people working on the website for the social features. So in theory, when we launch the website, we'll have more algorithms people to work on controllability stuff. I think people at Midjourney are doing pretty well. We try to tell people to like take your weekends and have a balanced work life thing. Sorry, that's my cold. People definitely enjoy what they're doing a lot. So I think people do tend to work harder than they should. But if you're enjoying it, then, in theory, it's not work. So I think it's a little bit, yeah, I think it's, and then obviously, like, we really like seeing everybody use it. And we like seeing how it makes people happy. So that helps us too. So I appreciate everybody's kind words when they give them to us. V6 should be higher detail, even if it's low resolution. Our original idea was that we would make it like 512 by 512 and then have an upscaler, but we might change that still. That's not locked down, but the right now the resolution is 1024 by 1024, but it's not exactly like maximum ultra sharp 1024 by 1024, and so like maximum ultra sharp 512 will still look really good, like in some ways better. And then if the upscaler adds more, it will also look better, but we'll see. This is just sort of like theoretically speaking. We don't have those versions actually running yet, so we'll know more as we do it. V6 is going to have a lot of things. It's not just trying to be like any other AI. It's going to have a much higher image quality. It's going to have better aesthetics. It's going to have more knowledge. It's going to have better text understanding. Going to be able to do these higher resolutions. It's going to be able to have things like text. It's going to be able to hopefully have more specificity and more control over individual things inside. There's just like a lot of things that should be able to do more weird things. Hopefully larger batches. So there'll be a lot of features in general. Right now, the V6 is kind of like a dumping pit for everything. And so there's some risks around that, because when you dump all the features into something, it takes longer than you want. They say in general for software, you either have like date-based release cycle or a feature-based release cycle. And if you have a date-based release cycle, you always hit the dates, but you never have the features you want. And if you have a feature-based release cycle, you always get the features, but you never get the dates. And so Right now we were on a feature-based release cycle. I think we might try to move to a date-based one again to try to have something slightly sooner. But I think this is a debate we're having right now, like the trade-offs between the two for V6. I think for the next V5 thing, V5.3 or 5.4, we're going to try to push that out relatively fast. But for 6.0, we're debating constantly like what the timeline should be. And as I said, it's not clear that there's a right answer. It's just something we have to kind of continually debate. Prompt engineering certificate. That'd be cool. Be cool to have like competitions. We will do more community events like that at some point, but I hope everybody's enjoying the community events we're starting to do. We've like doubled it in the last month or two. So I think the next magazine is shipping soon. A reminder that there's a Midjourney magazine, and we're going to give out some coupons at some point in the next month. So for people who haven't tried the magazine, we'll make it easy to get a free copy. So we'll try to do that a few times a year, to make it so people who can't we can just get extra issues out there for people. Yeah, I'm sorry about the shipping. If you have a hard time with magazine shipping, I think it turns out international shipping is terrible. But if you're inside the United States, you should get things really fast. We are changing it so that the European shipping will come out of Europe. So in theory, that will make it a lot better. But for some reason, shipping a package outside the United States is just bad, and I apologize. Also, we can have like a higher tier shipping thing to help with that, but I'll ask the team. Hello.
Wondering, is there ever going to be, or if there already is, and I don't know about it, kind of like a morph feature? Say like, there's a bear and the bear is morphing into a sea urchin. Will there be something where, between the 4 pictures that starting from 1 all the way to 4, will there be, from 1 to 4, a morph into a bear to a sea urchin?
Yeah, we talked about having some kind of blend animation feature before. I think it's one of those things that we just don't have enough people to ship right now. But with technology, the way it works, we could do blendings. It's just it's on the list of things that we can do, but we don't have enough people right now to do it. So it's possible we'll release it in the future, but I don't know when.
Fair play. All right, that's all I really need to know. And have a great day. Hope you feel better.
Yeah.
Cheers.
The other issue with a lot of these features is that the website is really clean, so it's a little harder to just like throw in 100 features into the website, but it's easier to throw into Discord. I wonder if like Discord will be like slightly better for that. It's something for us to think about still.
Hey, David, how's it going?
Good.
What were the motivations for you guys to launch on Discord versus building your own app or exposing the model via an API? And what were the biggest benefits or constraints of the platform?
I think we built out a version of Midjourney on web and email and SMS and Discord, and we user tested all 4. We found the Discord user tested a lot better, and so I kind of just went with the thing that worked, that people enjoyed the most, even though it was unusual. And it's been a lot of work to build out something this big on Discord. It's never really been done before, but I think on the whole, it's been a really good experience and kind of gives us cross-platform and social at the same time, which is pretty hard to do otherwise if you're a new startup. I think as we build out like standalone web and mobile things, we will definitely have some non-Discord stuff that's like that, but it's a lot of work, and I would have never been able to do it on day one. We have like we have like 8 people or something working on front ends right now that are not Discord. And so it's like, that's like a relatively big team, and it still takes months and months and months and months and months. And we wouldn't have been able to do it from day one. So it's, yeah, Discord has been really great. And we're going to keep adding more features here and doing stuff specifically for Discord in the future.
But was the distribution aspect like a key decision for you guys to make that choice, or like there's that like the speed of iteration, so to like, you know, get the UI and the auth etc. Out there as quickly as possible?
Iterating is really fast. In theory, there are a lot of Discord users that could be using Midjourney, and so there's like, you could argue Discord has distribution to those users. That hasn't worked out for us as well in practice because a lot of the people on Discord are younger and they don't spend money. And then the people on Discord who do spend money, I think, are not necessarily like they may not be the exact demographics that tend to buy Midjourney most on here. So I think that there hasn't been a super great demographic match between our users and Discord users in general in terms of paying users. I think most of our paying users, you know, came from off of Discord. So, you know, it hasn't, I would love it if we could take more regular Discord users, and we're going to see if we can do that at times, but it's been challenging so far. I think if we had like a free tier, it would help a lot on Discord, but it's a lot of money to do the free tiers. So we're not really ready to do it yet.
Are the paying users mostly like professionals or people who like use the image for professional purposes?
Sorry, say again?
Are like the paying users like mostly people who use like the images for professional purposes, or just maybe like older folks who just like enjoy using the platform?
Yeah, so I would say that the average Midjourney user is much older than the average Discord user. And yeah. Yeah, that's kind of it. And part of that is probably because Midjourney costs a lot of money, and part of it is probably also the fact that it uses a lot of words and to some extent language is a game of experience, where the more experience you have, the more words you have. So somebody who has a lot of experience tends to be able to put a lot more things to words and have a lot more things to draw on. Whereas we find a lot of people who are under 18 when they use Midjourney, they have a hard time coming up with words, like at all. I think there's probably 2 factors here. One, you know, having more experience gives you more words, and then 2, I think the newer teenage generations are growing up more of an oral culture rather than a literary culture, and so things like TikTok, things like Twitter are not deeply literary mediums. And so they often just like don't have the words. Like they're not building the skills. It used to be being able to write an essay was really important 100 years ago, and people were really good at writing when they were young, and that's just not the case anymore. So both younger people are both, you know, worse now at writing than they were 100 years ago. And then people who are more experienced always were better at writing. Like the average successful writer, I think, is in their 40s. So yeah, not to say that 40 is old, but I think we could say that like under 18 is young. So, you know, it's just sort of like, yeah.
Oh, that's a fantastic insight. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah. We do find that the young people like use image prompts more. So there's definitely could be some better user interfaces specifically for young people. But I think right now, because we don't have a free tier, we're not investing as hardcore into young people things, because like they just need a free tier. We do surveys and and so
yeah, image prompts would be super cool. Like there's a whole universe of like multimodal prompting that's ready to be explored.
Yeah, we already do image prompts, and we do the blend command, so it works quite well, really well, I would say. I think the issue with the image prompts right now is frankly that like they're hard to learn. So we find that older people don't like them because it takes a lot more learning to use image prompts than it is to prompt with words. And so there's definitely we definitely need to improve our educational materials for image prompting.
Awesome. Thanks.
Uh-huh. Hello.
I had some questions about the design position. Are there any specific things that you're looking for in a portfolio?
Probably more on the user interface design,
Okay.
because that's mostly what we're doing. Like, we would love to have a new logo. We are a little, we definitely think that we could have a better sailboat logo, but yeah, it's we're mostly focused on the user interfaces for the mobile and web stuff.
I have stuff that I also have logo design experience. I have so like a while back I put a website together. It no longer is on the internet because legal told me to take it down. But could I send that to you? Like I could put it on a test server and like show you the site.
Sorry, I missed. If you want to show us a site, I mean, you could definitely throw us by email. You can message Ancient Chaos. You can also you can take some screenshots. Like, yeah, we're definitely down to see anything.
Yeah, I'll do that. All right, that's all I had to say.
That sounds good.
I want to check that my mic's working. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yep.
And so I can't hear you. Sorry. I don't know what I'm doing.
I can hear you.
Okay, so I have to. Okay. So thanks for this time, David. I appreciate it. And I know you're fighting something right now, so I'll make it somewhat quick. I'm a filmmaker in Hollywood with 25 years experience, and the strikes have affected us in ways that who knows what's going to happen. And that's just the way it is. And I understand. And I'm an AI fanatic, so I get it. And the automakers are going through their union strikes. So I see what's going on. And with understanding that, I find the next generation of students are coming into the job force. They're going to find themselves in a difficult transition that I think might lead to issues, sometimes even mental health issues and things like that. So I've started to go to the schools around me to see if I can start educating the students, and the teachers are very receptive to it. They've allowed me to meet their students, and I've gotten over 150 students on board with teaching them what's going on. I'm spearheading a project, a case study to help give teachers and students some understanding of what's available, what they can use, and what they can do. And during this process, one of the things I show them is Midjourney. It's just the most impactful and fastest way to give them that wow and that and it's a magic trick that's just, you can only imagine how successful that is. So I'm trying to reach out to people like you to give me feedback. I need your help. I just need feedback from you as I privately do this case study so I can do something better for all of us. And I would just like to know if you'd be willing to read what I'm working on and give me feedback. It's as simple as that. Would that be possible?
Yeah, send stuff to Ancient Chaos and we can see if we can look at something. But I don't know if I can promise on, I barely have time to talk to people who work for me sometimes.
I get it. Maybe you can hand me off to somebody who would be willing to give me feedback on what we're working on. I use Midjourney to just blow them away. So I'm hoping we can be in alignment of something, what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah, I'll send stuff to Ancient Chaos, and you can see if there's anybody to pass things to also.
I hear what you're saying, but I couldn't understand what you said. Did you say HK Chaos?
Ancient Chaos. He's he's the moderator on there.
Okay.
I just messaged you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
All right.
How do you guys hear me?
Hello.
Oh, hi. Hey, been listening. I'm coming up. Tomorrow's 1 year that I've been on Midjourney, and I absolutely love it. I hit all the little events you guys have whenever I can, or every time pretty much. And you have in the past talked about you guys are working on some storyboarding ideas, and I was wondering, have you worked on like consistent characters or maybe scenes you could put them in and create environments where you can switch characters around in the composition or advance them to different scenes like storyboarding or just kind of like in a comic book kind of scenario? Because you guys were talking about some tools for creating stories and stuff, storytelling.
Yeah, we're working on things that will let you move characters from scene to scene and keep the same style. That's probably happening after V6 and after the web release. So it's like one of the next things that we're looking at after, like the website and the website and V6 are kind of taking up all our resources, but we are looking. I think that's the next most important thing is sort of style and character consistency across many images. We're working on sort of more dedicated storyboarding things too. But the storyboarding interfaces are not specifically algorithmic changes like making the character across multiple images. But there's a story team working on the story interfaces right now. And then the algorithm people, once they finish up V6 and some of the web social stuff, then I think they'll be moving over to that.
Okay, great. Because I mean, I've been using some of the techniques Victor Gnarly showed about using your preference and injecting your characters into stuff, and I've had some success. But yeah, I'm sure you guys I remember you talking about it and saying that in the future you're probably going to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely important, and we definitely want to make it. I think we were just talking about it yesterday. Honestly, is like one of the most important things internally. And so we're definitely aware that that's like one of the most that we just need to do that. Yeah, I don't know exactly when it will come, but I mean, it should come this year. I hope it should. I would hope it would come this year, at least for I think consistent styles will be relatively easy. The consistent characters is a little harder because, like if you have to see their face, that's relatively easy to keep constant. But then trying to figure out like what amount to allow their clothing to change, for example, or body shape, those are a little bit harder because it could be ambiguous, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that things like faces and things like styles, consistency should be pretty straightforward. And we should release this year.
Wow, that'd be great. Because I mean, I'm over 50-some thousand images now and stuff, and I'm just starting to use some of the techniques that Victor Gnarly's been using, and I'm having some success with that. But I can see how you could do something on the back end that would make that even more easier to do.
Yeah, we're definitely going to try our best. There's a chance the character stuff pushes it a little bit further away. Like it's more early next year, but it's hard to say. Like we don't know if it'll just immediately work or if it will.
You got to do some research on it and just see where it takes you.
Yeah, exactly. There's still a little bit of research.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I learned so much every time, and yeah, I'm a Star Trek guy too.
So, what's your favorite Star Trek?
I think Next Generation. I've always been a big fan of Picard, and with the AI the way it is now, I feel like I'm Picard, and I get ChatGPT or Midjourney or PseudoWrite or something to I come up with the core idea, then I just see where it can go, and the AI is helping me in that regard.
Does it feel like a holodeck yet?
Well, we've been working on it, and I could see once the 3D gets here, and then I was wondering, what is it? No Man's Land. It had a thing where it just constantly parametric, world building, where it just kind of, went off onto its own and started just creating different planets and aliens and everything. I mean, I could see creating like an environment based on your pictures and just kind of letting it grow and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's interesting how it seems in some ways similar to the holodeck, but in other ways it feels really different. I think the thing that feels most different, it just feels like something about there's some weird distinction. There's something that feels weirdly different than Star Trek, and I can't quite put my finger on it yet, but there's definitely like and it feels more surreal. I don't know what it is, and it feels a little bit more fluid. Like it's not clear where like where my imagination stops and the AI begins. You know?
Yeah, and sometimes I think I know what I want, and then Midjourney, with the secret sauce, will just come in, and it's like, oh my god, I really wanted this the whole time, and I just didn't know it.
Yeah.
Because the other day I accidentally I misspelled a word in there, and then it was John Levitt, and it actually I meant John Lovitz, but I spelt it wrong, and now I've got crazy, cool, surreal landscapes, and it's just that little ghost in the machine that seems to take some nonsense word and make something cool out of it.
Yeah. I love like made up words. That's a really special thing.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish we had like word competitions around like made up words. We should probably do that.
I was in prompt battle the other day, and I dropped that. It was because I thought maybe it was just giving me the results. No, everybody else was getting the really wild, crazy results too.
Yeah, we'll do some made up word competitions.
Yeah. Kind of like in Dune, where it's a power word. Who knew?
Yeah.
You use it in that context. How Muad'Dib became a power word, and they didn't realize it was when you're using the Wordling modules or the actual book style of voice. Yeah. Anyway, well, hey, thanks for your time, and it feels like my brain gets a little bigger every time I listen to you. So thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hello. Great. In an interview a couple of months or even 2 years ago, you said you have to know who you are, you have to know who you want to be, and you have to have a plan how you get there. And then the journalist said that you are planning to work on all three things. So I'm using Midjourney daily, and I have over 20,000 pictures generated and love it. And I'm constantly thinking, how does this fit together? So how does Midjourney help me to become the one that I want to be? So please, maybe you can give me an idea.
Sorry, the question is we're all working on all three, and then what were you asking about about them?
Yes. So I cannot bring it together. I understand I think I understand Midjourney, but I don't understand how this is the vision that you described in these three sentences.
Oh,
the question is, yes.
To restate it, I would say that I think a lot about how there's a lot of problems in the world, and that there really isn't one thing that fixes all of them, that we're going to have to make a lot of new things to fix our problems. And instead of trying to do a particular solution, I think a lot about changing the process of creation itself. And so kind of thinking about what are the sort of pillars of creation. I think about reflection, imagination, and coordination. You have to reflect about who you are and what you want. You have to imagine about what could be and how to get there. And then last, you have to coordinate with yourself or others to do it. And then, when you get there, you start to reflect again, and then you start to imagine again, and then you start to coordinate again. So it's sort of like this loop, reflect, imagine, coordinate loop. And you think a little bit about how do we create pillars of human and technological infrastructure that helps each one of them, and then maybe bringing them together one day. And I think there's a lot of tools that we can use to help us understand and think about ourselves. And I think there's a lot of tools that we could be using to help people find each other and think together. In some ways, reflecting and coordinating is similar. Like reflecting is in some ways like coordinating with yourself, and coordinating is usually like reflecting with others. So there's some similarity to that. Likewise, we find that people using Midjourney to imagine stuff is also ends up becoming a reflective experience where they think about what they want and they reflect on like, hardships in their lives and who they are. And then they also find people that have aesthetics that align with theirs in ways that are sort of deeply, dare I say, spiritual almost in nature. Yeah, and I think the idea of like aesthetics as a foundation, as a social infrastructure is really interesting. And I think aesthetics as a foundation of reflective medium. So I think it's all kind of related in a weird way, even though they seem different. But there will be some very different stuff we make for each of them. Uh, yeah, maybe watch for as the website is out and as the V6 is out, we're gonna have more and more people to work on more and more crazy stuff. So, yeah, I feel fairly optimistic, but maybe a while until we see that mission fully bloom. The imagination stuff is so big that it's a little distracting, but it's obviously been really great, and I'm like very privileged that we got to be one of the people at this time to do this thing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think I might do another lightning round for 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'll call it a day because I'm getting really stuffy, and it's like a little hard to, yeah, that might be my body telling me to slow down. So let's do one last lightning round, and then we'll call it a day. So type your questions into VC text, and we'll try to get to everybody, as many as possible, and then we will call it. I did take vitamins. I am drinking a lot. I probably didn't get quite as much sleep as I should have, but I feel okay. I feel better today than yesterday, so that's the good news. Yesterday I felt really bad. Today I'm just like a little runny. It's probably just like clearing through my system. I don't really use chaos that much, to be honest. Yeah, I feel mixed about that. I like -- weird and stylized more. Yeah, I mean, I know chaos is cool. I just don't use it as much. We'll definitely have better image quality and high resolution in V6, but hopefully we'll also have some high resolution in V5. We're going to try to get our upscaler that we're building for V6 to work for V5. I did not go visit the Senate. I don't know why people are asking me about talking to the Senate. We don't really want to make computer games, but I think in many ways the Midjourney is sort of like becomes like a rendering graphics engine or like a game engine. A lot of people, I'm scared to say game engine because a lot of people don't know what that means. A game engine is like a 3D engine that that renders 3D things that people use to build games. So I think that in many ways, like the Midjourney AI isn't a fast artist; it's a slow world simulator, 3D renderer type of thing. And as it gets faster and faster and more 3D in real time, that'll become more obvious, and eventually you'll see things that look like games made with it. When I usually talk about releasing APIs, I usually talk about releasing an API for the purpose of people basically making these sort of interactive worlds. I'm not very interested in making APIs so people can make logo makers, but as the Midjourney AI becomes more of like a 3D engine, making APIs so people can build stuff in it seems important. We don't know what formats we'll support for 3D, but we can definitely support multiple 3D formats. I think it's premature, to be honest. I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to do if we're gonna do like a chat interface. I'm not totally sold on chat interfaces for image generation, so we'll see if I know a lot of other people like OpenAI are gonna try to invest in chat interfaces for image generation. Anecdotally, that seems like a bad idea for me, like based off my experience, but I'm like trying to keep an open mind, and I'll definitely watch it as other people do it and see if it works well. And if it looks like people enjoy it, we'll definitely think about doing it more. How long would it take for a motivated person with little programming experience to be qualified to be an ML engineer at Midjourney? So being an ML engineer at Midjourney is challenging because you have to be really good at programming and you have to have experience with machine learning. I think being really good at programming, like being useful at programming, like you can get a job doing programming and with like 6 months of work. But if you're trying to be a part of a really small and experienced team, you're talking about something closer to 5 to 10 years of programming experience. And then you can learn enough machine learning to be useful in 6 months get a general job. But again, our team is like somewhat senior, so you're probably talking about 5 to 10 years of programming experience and like 3 to 6 years of AI and ML experience. It's hard. You want a couple years. There are some exceptions to this rule. Like there are some people on the team who have not been doing AI for 3 years, but like I think there's one person on the team that's been doing it for 2 years, but it was like their entire life for 2 years, and specifically doing image stuff for 2 years before joining. So like basically it's like, yeah, if like all you do is image related AI stuff, like for like if you of all to some extent it's like more like 1,000 hours than it is like how many years. So yeah, it's like how quickly can you clock your 1,000 hours, 10,000 hours. Yeah. I mean, if you're really good at programming, you can usually like you could be really good at programming and not know a lot about AI and still help in various ways. You could potentially like help with optimization or help with data, or help with servers, but the actual ML stuff is fairly technical, so it's not super easy to get into. Maybe if you have like a year of hardcore, but it's hard. I think this is one of the problems actually with the AI industry right now, is because when we were doing when the tech industry was doing mobile and social as the primary area of innovation and startup, it was relatively easy to kind of spend 1 year and get good at mobile apps and make a mobile company. And now you can't really spend 1 year getting good at AI and learning programming at the same time and start something. It's just like there's just unfortunately there's too many things to know. Yeah. I don't know if like AI or programming need like a specific talent or if it's mostly time. Obviously talent is good for certain things like research or doing really weird stuff, but there are talented people, but I would emphasize that just a lot of things is just putting in time. Like, yeah. We don't have any plans to become a publicly traded company. I think that if we needed money, it'd be interesting to ask whether we should raise money from venture capitalists or just go public. We could do either, but right now the community has been really supportive. And at the current level of support we have, we don't need to raise money. We're able to buy servers and run the business. In fact, the yearly subscriptions have been really helpful. Basically, When people only pay us month to month, it's really scary buying a server because the server could take 12 months to pay for itself. But when somebody pays 12 months upfront, we can basically take that money and buy a machine, and it becomes cheaper for everybody. So the yearly subscribers are basically funding us building out our own data centers right now. And the data centers are the reason why like the Pro and the Mega tiers are getting faster images. And it's the reason why we're going to have a bigger model soon that will also be higher quality. So the data, and we're also starting to buy out more servers for training, V7 and V8. So the yearly subscribers right now, you're basically funding our next generation data center and our next generation of models. So in some ways, like when somebody pays month to month, we can't use that monthly thing to pay for something that's a year out. We kind of have to use that monthly thing to try to pay for something this month. When somebody pays for a year, we are basically investing that stuff into things that happen over the next year. So that's been really good. Yeah, the yearly subscriptions are really, really, really great. It allows us to actually think 12 months ahead, which is great. It's an interesting idea. Yearly subscription that isn't necessary up front. Interesting. Does David meditate? Yeah, I've been meditating since I was 12, I think. So what's kind of cool, most people don't talk about this, but if you meditate for 10 or 20 years, you just kind of become meditative as a person. And it's sort of a little bit on all the time, which I think is really cool. And people, I think, underestimate how helpfully and important that is. If I could add one feature to Midjourney regardless of the effort, I really want to add the drawing feature, real-time drawing, where like as you draw, it's drawing things around your pen. And we did some prototypes for this, but it's just so fucking hard to ship the feature. We just haven't had time to invest in it as much. I do hope to have some drawing things in the future. I'm not super into prompt marketplaces. I think that a lot of prompts that are good for V5 won't be good for V6. Things that are good for V3 aren't good for V4. So the prompts change a lot. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to improve the natural language models. We're definitely going to. I think we're also going to invest a lot in things that don't need as many words. Yeah, there are always going to be other people making synthetic media products. I don't really worry about those things. I think that everyone's trying to do something pretty different. And it feels like we have a pretty unique space for ourselves. And that will always be really great in what we're trying to be good at. So I feel pretty good. In general, we are not doing a lot of third-party integrations because it's just, it adds a lot of risk, frankly, because the other people can do weird stuff. And if you're dependent on them, it kind of messes with you. So I would say we're very focused on being like kind of independent. So building out our own data centers makes us independent. Having versions of our platform that are purely on the web makes us pretty more independent. So we're going to keep working with everybody. Like Google, we work with Discord, but having like a core of Midjourney that's very independent is important to us. I don't know if Midjourney changed my hyperphantasia, but I think Midjourney definitely makes me more imaginative. It's like being around more imaginative friends. Midjourney's going to have like an independent client this year, meaning like the web stuff. And people really are asking the same questions over and over again. I have hyperphantasia more than eidetic memory, but I have a really good memory. We do work on control net-like things, but we're not really sure how we can release them because there's kind of too many control-like things to release and they take a lot of work. So we're trying to wait for, I think, V6 and other things to be out, and then like doing control net doesn't give us the things like character consistency or style consistency, and those are things people ask for more than skeleton control, for example. So we are kind of waiting for those sorts of things. I don't really have that much anxiety. I'm like pretty chill. Well, I mean, I've been meditating since I was pretty young, so that helps. I think also my dad has always been pretty chill, so I probably have like, and my grandmother was pretty chill, so I might have some like genetic predisposition to being chill. Why did I start meditating when I was really young? I started meditating around when I was 12 because I was a little stressed about the world and my environment. I think because I became like more and more aware of things, I think it was hard to integrate that awareness as you kind of can feel more what people are thinking and their motivations and how messed up things are and how people don't care and how everyone's feeling really strongly about things. Like just sort of integrating all that awareness was always hard. And so meditating was a way to kind of, I think, focus on yourself or on like the base universe rather than on sort of all these purely social arbitrary things. How did Midjourney happen? Yeah, 5.3 will happen in the next month, but I mean, it probably won't happen this week, but it won't happen. I don't think it'll happen. It'll happen, it'll happen relatively soon, but probably not this week. But we're going to try to get it out this week, but it's probably slipping a bit. If I could have a 1 hour conversation with any historical figure, I would definitely talk to Zhuangzi, ancient Chinese philosopher. I have no idea what the question I would ask. That's what would probably be a close second. Yeah, Midjourney was like the Midjourney origin story in short was me. I made a startup. I ran a startup called Leap Motion for 12 years, and I was looking to build something new. And I kind of wanted just like this research place to work on things for another decade. And I wanted to kind of be like more of a home and less of like a work or a company. It's like a place that I could kind of live to make the stuff I cared about. And had some bad experiences with investors, so I wanted to start off trying to not have investors. And basically built everything without any investment or venture capital. So we're, entirely independent and community supported. We started, testing things with different platforms, and Discord tested best. And so we started on Discord, and we've been growing ever since. We have around 40 people. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. There's a lot to say. So, and I'm like a little sick, so I'm kind of fading. I'm like a little bit over time. I'm gonna see if there's any last. As Midjourney developed as I hoped. Yeah, I mean, I think the being sort of this like huge community supported AI thing is pretty great. I've been really grateful for that. We haven't been growing a ton recently, but we've been very stable, and I'm like very grateful for that stability, frankly. I'm like not obsessed with growth. Like if we have a home for 1 million people, I'd be, that's still a home for 1 million people, But I do think it'll grow as we have like some of the web and mobile stuff, just from it being easier to get in. Yeah, the community is really great. The Sailboat logo is because we don't really want people to see it as an AI they talk to. We want to feel like Midjourney is a vehicle for imagination, like a car is a vehicle for motion. You move through the use of a car. The idea is you like imagine through the use of these tools, and it's an extension of yourself, and it's a vehicle. So Sailboat is the vehicle. You're kind of like on the sea of imagination. I also kind of grew up on sailboats as a kid, so I'm probably like, it's somewhat sentimental to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll do a merchandise round before we change the branding, but when we change the branding, we're going to keep a sailboat. Cool. I'd love to keep going, but I'm like feeling pretty tired. So I'm going to let myself get some rest and try to recover from my cold. Yeah, sorry I couldn't do like 4 hours like I like to. I'll try to do some extra time next time. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming. We do these office hours every week on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Hope everybody has a nice week. Hope everybody's having fun. And I hope if and when we release the next versions of the software, everybody enjoys that too. So thank you everybody, and have a nice day.